netted $450.53. Another trading strategy that I've used in my playbook is to trade based on volume. And when I say volume, I'm talking about, does the current stock have a higher than expected volume compared to the average? So there are some criteria that I follow in order for me to set up this swing trading based on high volume strategy. Normally, if earnings are coming up, I would not trade a stock because no one really knows which ways the stock will turn out. Everyone reacts to earnings and revenue differently. So that's the first question to ask myself. So assuming if the earnings is not later today or next day, the next question I ask is the stock traded at a higher than expected average volume? So by average volume, there's ways to look at that. If the answer is yes, then I'll go ahead and set up limit orders to buy shares, call options, or leverage ETFs. And of course, I always do dollar cost average because even based on high volume trading, no one knows what is the lowest price. So I still prefer to set up some sort of game plan. I'll get my budget ready and then I'll prepare some sort of average cost. On TradingView, I have my time frame set to the daily 1 day. Ticker is on ZS. ZS is the Z scaler. ZS is a great one to look at because this is one of the stocks that actually trended up based on volume. On December 2nd, earnings came out, and I guess it wasn't that great. According to the earnings and revenue, earnings reported was 0.77, estimated was 0.627 million, better than expected, so it created a 22.75% surprise. Revenue was also better than expected. It created a 3.71% surprise. So for me, looking at it, it looks like this is a good time to get in on it. For some reason, it looks like after earnings the next day, ZS actually dipped by a good amount. So this is actually the main reason why I generally tell people to don't trade on earnings. Maybe trade before earnings is okay, but not during the earnings, right? So no one knows which way it's going to go. Based on the stats, it seems like it's better than expected, but yet for some reason the stock price dropped. Maybe there's better stock opportunity elsewhere. I don't know. One of the stocks I've noticed, it has a higher than expected volumes. So let's say on average, it appears that ZS has about 1.7 million volume traded on average. The day of earnings shows 5.49 million shares traded. The next day, on December 3rd, ZS shows 7.98 million shares traded. And when I look at this, I'm like, oh, wow. That means a lot of investors or traders want to get in on the action. So that's where I have decided to set a buy limit order the next day. So the next day, I set a buy limit order around here. I was not looking at the candlesticks. I was just mostly looking at the volume and see if it continued to have higher than expected volume. The answer is yes. Okay, so I put some money in here, and then when it goes up by a couple of percentages, I later then sell it out. So let me show you guys some proof of what I've done. On TradeZetta, I refreshed my journal, imported all my trades for this week, and I'll set a filter on symbol, ZS. So for ZS, I started with $0 because I never flipped this ticker before up until recently because of the trending volume being traded. Netted $450.53. So I made profit on December 4th, $207. December 6th, $243. And actually on December 3rd, I opened the position up, but I didn't close it out. It was meant more for swing trading. I closed it out on Wednesday. And then on Friday, I did a low frequency day trading. I've essentially opened up positions for ZS during the AM time and later close it out. Let's go ahead and zoom in on my journal entries. December 3rd, net ROI was 18.97%. December 6th, net ROI was 19.36%. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this. The timestamp is not correct, so ignore these tickers here. I've also started associating these trades with playbooks. So going forward, I would know which trade resulted in profit. So for this trade, I consider this as a high volume setup, and I have these criteria checked off. Is the company earnings next business day? As long as the company earnings is not the next business day, I will go in on a trade. The second question I ask is the stock trading volume above average trading volume. So after earnings, I noticed there's a high spike in volume being traded. So that kind of led me to get in on a trade. And let's switch over to my execution tab. Under execution, I bought options at $5.50, $5.40, sold it at $6.50, collected $210. Remember, options represents 100 shares. $6.50 really means $650. On December 4th, I purchased January 17th, 2025, 210 strike price call option. Bought it at $5.50. Later, when it dropped to $5.40, I bought another share, and that was my budget. I set a limit order to sell at $6.50. Well, of course, this didn't happen to the next day. That's where I pocketed $210. I have another example. I traded on ZS because of the high trading volume. So on December 6th, I set a limit order to buy 4 different lots. Only the first lot was executed. On my first lot, I said buy 5 call options at $2.50, which totaled to a little bit over $1,000. And then I said sell it at $3. The same day, I set a limit order to sell 50 cents above my purchase price, netted $250. And the only reason why I got in on this trade was because of the recent high volume. In fact, let me change this back to the daily candlestick. Normally, ZS don't have these type of high volume in the 4 millions. So check this out. Even the last earnings they had around September, it appears that after when earnings came out, they dropped significantly. And there was a high volume pushing into the downside. So because there's high volume pushing into the downside, this didn't really make me feel comfortable getting in on ZS during that time. Once I saw more support level, then, it would probably make sense for me getting in on this. But before, around September, I was not really aware of ZS up until recently. And I've only gotten into ZS recently because of the higher than expected volume being traded towards the upside. 3 candlesticks that shows a strong, higher than expected volume. So this actually led me to have more confidence and put in more money on this. So that's one way to make money. I hope everyone find this video useful. Also, excuse my voice. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather the past couple of weeks. So like and subscribe. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.